This episode brought to you by the Roster Up Media Network, home to tangible insights for the NFL and fantasy sports. Check us out at rosterupmedia.com.
Welcome, Rams Up Nation. We're back at it again. We're going to recap the good win against the Cardinals, and I do say good. I don't care what it looked like. A win is a win again. We're 2-1. I'm excited about the season. We're trending in the right direction. But I got a guest with us today, and I'm really excited about him. Would you welcome the Bull? He is fierce. He's passionate. He's flat out scary. And he'll have takes that will light water on fire. Chase the Bull Bollinger. How are you, my friend?
Man, thank you for the introduction. Big time. I'm good. I'm real good. Look, you've been teasing me, trying to get me on this podcast for a long time, and kind of blowing me off, and happy to be here. But I have a little bone to pick with you here. What are we going on? Is this the fourth podcast here?
All right, this is episode number 5, and before you get into that, I just want to warn my crowd out there, this guy, there is just about nothing off limits that Chase won't say. So just a heads up there. This guy's passionate. He's fiery. And I'm like, Chase, I need to get you on my podcast because I need to unleash you to the world. I need the world to hear the amount of hot takes that you have. You were fired up about the Bills game, going into the Bills game.
Yeah.
And you're fired up now, and it gives me energy as a fan.
Absolutely.
So what's your bone? So I guess let's pick the bone. Let's get out.
There's nothing in this world that gets me more going than NFL football. College has its place, but NFL football, it's just something special about it.
That's beautifully said.
So look, I've listened here and there to a couple of your podcasts before this, and kind of look, nothing against the guests that you brought on. I don't know any of them, but great guys. But look, I don't think anyone are as big of a Rams fan as me. So it's a tad disrespectful. You brought on some guy last week. Sounds like a good guy, Kanakuk guy, so I love him.
Yep.
He's not a Rams fan anymore. He went away, and you throw me on the back burner.
Well, can I explain myself?
Yeah.
First of all, just so everyone knows, Chase and I, we didn't work at Kanakuk together, but we did the Kanakuk Institute. It's a 9-month program we did. And Chase, I do want to remind you, and maybe you've forgotten this, it was a dark time in your life. You slipped away from the Rams. I recall you saying, Jared, I'm done with the Rams. You went all at Cowboys. Cowboys were doing pretty well. They ended up making the playoffs. They had that really painful loss. I think, was it to the Green Bay Packers? But that year, you got a Cowboys fan. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you get you got a Cowboys jersey?
No.
Never the jersey? You didn't go that far?
I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So I do recall when did we do the Institute? 2017?
Yeah, 16 or 17.
You, my friend, slipped away for a little bit, okay? So of all people, you should have a little compassion on people that slip away from. So Jairus, I had him on last week. Great guy. Yes, former Rams fan, but I'm trying to kind of pull him back in just like I pulled you back in. Just like I was gracious with you.
I don't know if I'd give you all that credit.
Hey, but nonetheless, you're back, and that's all that matters. We don't even have to get into the history. You're back. You're as passionate as ever. If I went to war for the Rams, I know you'd be behind me, and that's all that matters. You are my brother. You're my brother in Christ, and you're my brother on the Rams field. Amen?
Amen. Let me respond to that.
Okay, respond. Go ahead.
Real quick. There was a time that I was deciding I'm going to move to Dallas. The Rams had given us year after year after year. The only thing was Steven Jackson.
Amen.
And that was it. Bollinger, just
terrible.
10
years of 1,000 yards.
So I come up, I'm going to decide to move to Dallas. Cowboys are rocking. Zeke Elliott's running it down people's throat. It's a big thing. So look, I never discarded the Rams. I never took them. I said, not a Rams fan. I said, look, let's just see what the Cowboys. I'm going to go down here. So, you want to be in a town. You want the team to be doing well. And then I came down here and I moved to Dallas my first year, and the Rams came in and played out in Arlington.
I went to the game.
You were there?
Yes.
Yeah, I see.
Standing room
I
only.
didn't even know that.
Yep.
So, look, that's where I made the decision. I drew a line in the sand, and I said, look, I'm going to watch this game, and wherever, when you're watching a game, you don't know who to pull for. Maybe it's two teams. Then all of a sudden, something in your heart, you're like, wait, why am I pulling for this team? That's
Todd
what I
Gurley.
said, look, God, whoever my heart is starting to pull for in this game, that is who is going to be number one, and whoever's second will be number two. And I just couldn't help myself cheering for the Rams. It's part of who I am. It's part of my upbringing, and that's where I am. And the color change, the logo change is now growing on me, and let's get into it.
Dude, and we got players, man.
We do.
Tell me what you think. So let's talk a little bit about just some of the, we moved to LA. That's kind of old news now, but some of the big players we got, dude. Matt Stafford. So I was asked last week, who do you think is the biggest difference maker? Why is this team all of a sudden they go from kind of, playoff contenders every year for the most part since the move, but never, and we made the Super Bowl, obviously. Was it 2018? Yeah. It was the Super Bowl loss, but just never looked the same since. I attribute the difference making to, there's a lot of moving parts, but my number one is, that's Matthew Stafford is the biggest difference maker. Okay. Would you agree with me there? As a Rams fan, we've been through a lot of horrible quarterbacks. That was the desert. That was Desert Storm for us. We couldn't get over the quarterback letdown, if you will, for our team. That was the biggest area of weakness, and we stunk all throughout. Offensive line, even our defense, everything. But quarterback is where it was terrible. So to have Matthew Stafford, I said that was the biggest difference maker. Would you agree with me there? It's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts.
I'll agree with you, but I don't think it's the number one difference maker of why the Rams are a contender every year now for the past.
Okay.
It's Sean McVay.
Okay. I like that.
It's the coach. That's why we got there with Jared Goff. Jared's not terrible, but he's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's not even a playoff quarterback. But you put him in a good system like McVay, year in and year out, and the Rams are going to be a contender. You need a guy at the trigger for sure.
Yeah.
And Stafford was that guy, a veteran to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. So Stafford, yes, but a little bit deeper, I'd say behind that is McVay.
I love that. All right, before we get into even more crazy talks, let's recap the game we had last week against the Cardinals.
Right. Okay.
Overall, good win. So this is how I would describe us so far. We're like the third baseman or the shortstop that fields the routine ground ball smoothly, but he waits for that runner to just run down that line, and he does a couple different, kind of in and out of his glove, and he throws it just in time just to get the runner out at first. It's like toying with the runner. And I'm like, that's who we are for the first 3 weeks. Obviously, I discredit the Bills game. We got smothered.
Sure.
But these last two games, we're just like, we come out of the gate so strong, but then it's like it's a routine ground ball. We've got the game won, but we wait to the last second just to make it a game to toy. And while they are good wins, and I'm enjoying watching this, and we're trending in the right direction, it just feels like we're just toying with teams, and we have not played a perfect game yet. So let's recap the win a little bit. Actually, since this week, ESPN's got us down to number 5 in the power rankings. Does that mean anything to you at all? Or are you like, dude, forget that?
I follow the power rankings every week. I think they're decently accurate.
Okay.
Did
you see Miami's number 1?
That's generous. Well, I'm looking at NFL.com here, and this. I agree with this. They got Eagles top dog, Buffalo, Miami, Green Bay. I don't agree with them at 4, Kansas City, and then us, the Rams. So I think it's even generous to put us up there in the top 5, 6. To be honest with you.
Yeah, you think because getting blown out by the Bills and then beating 2 pretty mediocre teams, the Falcons and the 49ers.
I just think how sloppy we've been playing.
Yeah, sloppy is a good word. A lot of turnovers. This last game.
Yep.
We didn't have 1 turnover, correct?
I mean,
Stafford didn't
Stafford
have.
had seven. We've had seven turnovers, I think, in general, in terms with Akers
Yep.
fumbling the ball, picks. I mean,
Yep.
Stafford
Oh,
was.
Akers fumble. He had a fumble this game. That's
Yep.
correct. Yeah, that's right. And those hurt us, but I felt like this game was a little bit cleaner. This last game, maybe you didn't feel
Well,
that way.
this game absolutely. Yeah, the Falcons game was terrible. I mean, Stafford was the reason we allowed them to get back in it. But in terms of
Yep.
Arizona, I mean, it was one of the best game we've played so far. Special
Yep.
teams look good. Block punt, phenomenal. Um,
Yet they were still in the
looked great.
game,
Right.
which didn't make sense. I mean, we were rolling, and obviously the field goals. How do you feel about these field goals? Because I think McVay's weakness has always been that he's very conservative. If he had a weakness, it would be that he's too conservative,
Right.
especially in today's age with analytics. Going for it on fourth down. We get on the fourth or the fifth. We're first and goal, or it's fourth and goal now,
Right.
and we decide to kick the field goal. And in my mind, that was the same drive Allen Robinson went right through his hands. So should have had the touchdown. So that's not on Stafford. But really, the game could have very easily been 21-3 instead of, I think it was like 13-3 or whatever it was, 13-3, and then 13-6. But that same drive on the 5-yard line, I would have liked to see us go for it, because if we don't get it, we might have been on the 4. If we don't get it, they're backed up right against their end zone, and that's just a terrible spot to be as an offense. And I like that, being on defense, having those people up against their own end zone. So I would have liked for us to go for that. I think if we go for some of those early on, I think we win the game by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Same thing with Cooper Kupp, missing that. What he typically doesn't miss, almost looked like he short-armed that tip that, right off the fingertips. I would have liked to see us be just a little bit more aggressive on fourth down. So we settled for some field goals.
A couple things. I think McVay's conservatism is balanced by Stafford in terms of just the natural way Stafford plays. He's a gunslinger, and if you look at his stats from even Detroit, I mean, he's always thrown a ton of picks. And then, but the way the defense was playing, how sharp we've been. First of all, I think we looked good against Atlanta, and just let them sneak back into it. So our defense looked sharp, and our defense definitely came to play against Arizona. I mean, wait, they didn't even get in the end zone. I mean,
no.
We were a
bend not break. Yeah.
We were a bend not break the entire time. I don't mind the field goal right there, but I know what you mean, especially early in the game backed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that decides the game right there. Maybe not right there, but then we build upon that. Maybe that's then that second field goal. Maybe that's a little bit more understandable. But I would I want to shove it down the throat. You know what I'm saying? If we got the chance, if we got the opportunity, I feel confident in our team. I feel confident in Stafford to make those kind of plays. So, all in all, we're 2-1. We still have not played a perfect game, right? Like I would say, man, we've looked really sloppy, and we're 2-1. Competition hasn't been just great, but I feel good about that. How do you feel about Cam Akers? Where were you with him in the first 2 weeks? Like, were you pretty shocked about him really not getting a start or even much of a role?
Considering his injury, no. But I know it was a shock to a lot of people, especially a lot of dudes in my fantasy league that had him, the number one, number 2 back in their lineup. Huge. I mean, I guess he's good as expected coming off of what he did. I'm
12 carries.
On Akers. I don't think, but the NFL has transitioned. So that workhorse back that we're used to, like I think maybe the last guy we'll see is Ezekiel Elliott, the Dalvin Cook. I just don't. It's the NFL is transitioning towards a different committee type. No one's getting these big contracts anymore. I see him and Henderson being a good combination off each other, but I'm not sold on Akers being given him 20 times a game.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't mind the committee approach, but I think Akers is our clear number 1. I mean, we drafted the guy in the 3rd round a couple of years ago. He goes down with an injury last year. Had a really good rookie season, goes down with an injury last year, comes back in the playoffs and has a great playoff run. So I'm thinking, coming into this year, this is going to be the guy This is our number one.
Right.
And I don't mind Henderson backing him up as a committee role, but he gets more touches. So I was a little shocked at the beginning. And then he comes out with game 3, 12 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown. And he just makes the most with his touches. And he's dynamic. He's quick. He's strong as an ox. So I love it. But that was good to see. I thought that was really good to see this game. What do you think about Ben Skoranek?
So
Talk about a guy that's come out of nowhere. Give me your thoughts on that guy.
I had his name written down, and I put, "Is he our number 2?" question mark. So
Gives me chills.
What we're missing is a number 2, and a solid number 2. Robinson has.
You don't think Robinson's the guy?
He looks old. He looks slow. He's a little bit bigger, right? And Robinson's always
6'2",
been that way, but he doesn't have the separation that I've seen from him on the Jaguars and then his early seasons with the Bears. I don't see it. I don't know if he has to take off that baggy undersleeve that what he's got going. I think that looks old too.
Yep.
I need to see more out of him. What I would also say is definitely just the time will help him. His routes, his timing routes with Stafford is off. There's been a couple of him on the in the red zone where the timing was just off with Stafford. Here's a take on Cooper Kupp, and I want to hear your opinion. There's going to be a reason. I think if you look at some of the big time number ones across the league, Devontae Adams, Diggs has been lighting it up. You look at Jefferson. Jefferson has got shut down 2 games in a row here.
Yeah, he has.
Here's my thought on Cooper Kupp. And if you watch a Rams game, he's not a typical X receiver like a Stephon Diggs or Justin Jefferson or Adams, where he's running the first route, big post go routes, comebacks. They're doing so many different things with him that it's a matchup nightmare.
Yep.
This is kind of the first time really I've seen him in the backfield doing different kind of routes. The jet motion, his timing is perfect right now. I just don't think they do so. They scheme him open, and that's why I think he's also underestimated, because they don't think he's a big time number 1 receiver that's routing people up, which he can. But really, they're just scheming him open, doing all different types of things.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
He's just so disciplined. Like he ran a 4.62 at the combine. That's why he was very undervalued. But his discipline and his work ethic and the head he has on his shoulders, that dude is so consistent. And even like a game like this, 4 catches, 44 yards, still has a rushing touchdown. He's still making his blocks. He's still running his routes, and he's still getting guys open. So he's just a consistent, reliable dude that we can turn to at any point in the game, doesn't matter what it is. And staff always knows that he has Cooper Kupp. So I'm huge, obviously, on Cooper Kupp. I don't know many people that aren't big on the guy because he's just, the year he had last year, he's doing well this year, Super Bowl MVP. So I love it because he came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? No one, I don't think, saw this coming, except maybe you could say his high school, maybe college coaches, because they saw his work ethic. You know what I mean? And they saw what he could do. So, dude, very exciting. Let's talk a little bit about the Rams defense that I think is kind of been overlooked. And I think they're a huge, maybe the main part why we won at least our 2 games.
Right.
And I want to start with people, some people think I love Jalen Ramsey too much, but I think the guy is just incredible. I think he's the best corner in the game. I think his physicality and his athleticism is unmatched.
Right.
So we got Jalen Ramsey. How do you feel about Jalen Ramsey? Is he a guy that you love having on your team, or what do you think about him?
Yeah, I love having Jalen on the team. And I played defense in college, so I'm a defensive guy. I don't really like offensive people. They're just a different type of people.
Yeah, they are.
Defensive guys, those are my people. But yeah, Jalen's a stud, physical corner. I mean, look, he's gonna get the attention like he did against Buffalo, especially when you play out there on an island. And a couple times I think he thought he had help, and so it might have been blown coverages. But the public doesn't understand that.
Yeah.
And so they don't understand schemes of what's going on. And so he's going to get a huge rap. Look, I think he's a top guy. There may be a couple guys that are playing pretty good right now. I think Slay out of Philadelphia is up there right now.
Dude, Philadelphia in general, man,
Right.
crazy.
They're playing.
Yeah,
They're looking like that 2019, but better. But Ramsey said, and he was playing physical. That's one
he's
thing about him.
physical.
He hits
Dude, that blow up he had with the corner that's
on
trying to
third down.
block him,
Yep.
and he does this all the time. Blows up the corner, and then he just lowers his shoulder into the guy's, leg, the pads, and I just love watching that. And Connor ended up losing a yard or two, and that was a crucial third down. So the guy's just making plays all the time. I love him. There's a stat. It's these guys keep. It's called PFF, Pro Football Focus, and they take into account every single play
Right.
from the game. It's
They
so
break it down.
extensive,
Right. Right.
and it's like probably the best thing you can look at as far as who's making the biggest impact, who's not. And an 80 is really that if you have an 80, if you average an 80 over the course of the season, you're doing really well. And our four guys that had 80 and up, two offensive, two defensive. Staff was an 82.
Okay.
Coop was an 80.2. Jalen Ramsey and Bobby Wagner were our two on defense, who I think Bobby Wagner is really coming along. I love that dude. Jalen was a 90.4. Bobby Wagner was an 84.3.
Right.
So Jalen, I mean, just to have a 90, that's an incredible score. So he's a huge impact player. And talk about Cup being really consistent and reliable on offense. That dude is really consistent and reliable on defense. Like, I know this guy is going to make a play. So, I'm talking to Jairus last week, and I talked to him this week. I said, dude, I forgot about this, but I think the reason I love Ramsey so much also is because he came right after Marcus Peters. Do you remember that guy, our corner, that got blown up and burnt more than anybody I've ever seen? And the guy did not want to make a tackle to save his life. So I was so frustrated with him every game. And then we get Jalen Ramsey in the trade somehow. And I'm like, dude,
Right.
this guy is physical and he's not afraid to make a tackle. And it's just polar opposites. So I think our defense is where it's at. I think they're our bread and butter. Hopefully, and I believe our offense will get rolling too. I really do. I feel confident in that. So we'll see,
Absolutely.
dude.
One guy who I feel like has been stepped up, and he came on the radar last year, is Greg Gaines.
100%.
So
Him and Donald are close, dude. You can see it. Yeah.
Greg Gaines is making plays, but he's at a position. I mean, I think he's considered a nose tackle, but he's in a position that's not going to get a lot of love. But he's a staple in there, and really, he's kind of like what Michael Brockers was, who's now with
Yep.
Detroit. He's
Yep.
kind of filling in and becoming the Michael Brockers. I don't know if he's athletic as Brockers, but Greg Gaines is definitely
Dude,
a
he's
low bar.
scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
Man,
I
think
agree.
we need to get better at. I think our pass rush has been good. I mean, Donald's playing well. I think we need. I think we need another pass rusher. We need another edge rusher to step up.
Yeah. Leonard Floyd typically is that role. He's kind of been quiet, though, surprisingly. I
thought he
feel
was
like,
banged up. You're right.
yeah. But, I mean, I think technically he's healthy. I don't know if he's got some underlying condition or something. Maybe he's taken from practice. But, no, I think he's supposed to be healthy. But, yeah, he's typically that guy, and he hasn't got it going yet. I'm confident that he will, though. So it's nothing I'm truly afraid of or anything like that. But overall, I thought it was a good win, man. Beating up against a team in our division who the Cardinals, they're not great, but still to beat them. When I'm predicting our schedule record, I always kind of split those. So 49ers will play twice, Cardinals will play twice, Seahawks will play twice. I usually split them for the most part. Seahawks, I kind of go double win because we just, for some reason, play them really well.
We have the number.
But to beat Arizona in Arizona is just always good. So I'm happy about that.
Arizona is sloppy in their
What do you-
football team, though. By the way,
What do you think about Kyler Murray?
look, I'm torn. I think he's misunderstood. I don't think he presents himself well. But then part of me also sometimes is just like he doesn't have it in terms of the body language. the type of guy that you do not want to play for. I just don't see that in him. He
Yeah.
had an interview yesterday. Um, I don't know if you heard about it, but he was just talking about other dudes on the offense need to wake up when I'm playing.
Interesting.
No responsibility. It just, and I don't even know if he means to come off like that.
Yeah.
Um,
But it doesn't sound great.
they're
Like you
not.
don't want your leader saying that.
They're a bad football team, in my opinion, and Kingsbury should be on the chopping block over the next year or two.
Yeah, he's been on the hot seat.
Yeah.
I think this is the make it or break it year, and it's looking so far like it's going to be a break it. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, good win. I'll take it. We're 2-1. Starting out 0-1 and that bad against the Bills, a little nerve wracking. But a good win against the Falcons. Really two commanding wins that we almost, we were sloppy about. I feel
Right.
good though. We're trending in the right direction. So going in 2-1. Now we got the 49ers next week. We open as 2.5-point favorites. And the 49ers are coming off a loss to the Broncos, which the score was 10-11. Heck of a score there. Not much offense going on. We got Jimmy G back at the helm, who, in my personal opinion, I want to know yours. I'd rather play Trey Lance than Jimmy G. Give me your thoughts on Jimmy G or Trey Lance.
First of all, that Broncos game, that was the worst football game I've ever seen in my life.
Horrible. What has happened? Is Russell Wilson? Is he done?
He's cooked. He's done.
He must be.
He's done.
It's painful to watch. Truly.
I don't know. You got to give him a little bit of time. He looks old. Just looks done. Collinsworth was about to cry up in the booth. I don't know. That was bad. I think Jimmy G looked terrible, but you really can't blame him too much. You just don't know because look, I don't even think they gave him a playbook.
Yeah.
During the offseason.
Jimmy G?
Yeah, they did him wrong too, I think.
Really? It's interesting.
I don't think they gave him a playbook and kind of either kept him around as trade bait or as just an option, for Trey Lance going out. But
yeah.
Here's my thing. Look, you even look at some of these power rankings. San Francisco's still up there. If you go, a couple guys are listening to this morning through ESPN. They're all high on the 49ers, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're stuck in the past of the last 3-4 years since they were Super Bowl contenders, and they play a physical game, so you could see them winning cold games as it gets in the playoffs.
Yep.
I don't think they look good at all. I think their defense is pretty stout.
Yep. Yeah, the defense that's the biggest difference. So if you're looking at point differential for all of our teams, we're the only team 2-1 in our division. Everybody else is 1-2.
Right.
Everybody's got a losing differential or a negative differential except the 49ers that are 10. And granted, they played the Seahawks, they played the Bears, and they played Denver. So not a lot of great competition, but they're the only ones with a plus. Our first game didn't help, but their defense is stout. They've allowed a lot less points than any other in our division, at least. They've allowed 37. We've allowed 70. The Seahawks have allowed 70. And then the Cardinals have allowed, I think, is it 87? So, and they're 30. They've allowed 30. So their defense is really good. And we're going in as favorites, 2.5-point favorites, supposed to win this game. But it's a division rivalry. They play us really well. They have played us well for many years now.
Right.
So I'm not taking this just as an easy dub or anything like that. We really need to clean our game up, no turnovers, and we need to come out early and punch and then finish the game. But we'll see. It's going to should be pretty good. I think it's always a pretty good game against them. So, you taking a W or a loss for this game going into San Fran?
I'll give us a W here. Just how bad Jimmy G looked, and I think he'll get better week in and week out. So that second matchup, you don't know. It just depends. Look, you're right. They have the Rams number, and it's been like that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
It was almost like when the Rams were up and coming, and the Legion of Boom was still up in Seattle, and we were kind of just putting together some good defenses. And you're talking about 2011, 2012, 13, and we started to get Seattle's number.
Yeah. Oh, we have got. Yep, we've got their number. We had Russ's number. I think we took Russ out earlier than what he kind of intended to go.
Right.
Donald just ruined.
Right.
I think he's ruined his career.
They had some studs, but it seems like San Francisco has our number in that way.
I
Um,
agree.
but
I agree. They have a confidence against us, and we seem to just dwindle when we play them. I don't know what it is.
but Jimmy
Obviously,
G, I mean, look, I think when him stepping out of bounds, closing his eyes, and throwing a pick six, that was equivalent to Mark Sanchez butt fumble, in my opinion.
I actually did not see that. They showed Dan Orlovsky's safety. Did you see that? They were showing a highlight of that
Mhm.
when he was playing for the Detroit Lions,
Right.
and he's in the back of the end zone. I mean, 3 feet out of bounds,
Throwing it.
still rolling out, looking for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, talk about embarrassing. So it kind of reminds me of that. I actually didn't see the Jimmy G step out of bounds, throw a pick six. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel pretty good about the game, but we'll see. This is not one I'm just taking like, hey, we're going to come in, have a commanding W, and we're going to
Right.
come
You
out
never
3 and
know
1
here.
easy. This is going to be a game we have to clean up and do well. So we shall see. Hey, I also want to know for all of our listeners, you're in here, you're giving your takes, your hot takes. How'd you become a Rams fan?
Oh, okay. Good question.
Since birth, or how'd that come about?
I guess ever since I can remember. Well, look,
You grew up in St. Louis.
no. Well, look, I'm born in Fort Worth.
Dang.
Moved to St. Louis when I was 6, 5, 6.
Okay. Okay.
So, right, my upbringing was in St. Louis. So Rams fan, Cards, Rams, Blues.
Let's go.
Um, and then right, they moved. I moved down here. I stuck with them,
Kind
and
of.
then had well, and then had that moment where I had to make a decision. Hey, am I going to roll with the Cowboys here? And then my heart moved towards the Rams, and I've stayed with the Rams. I've never given up on your Rams, like some
They
of your
just
other
slipped.
friends.
They just slipped to number 2, and you prioritize them back to 1. It's good. It's good. It happens.
I
Like
don't I don't like I don't like this
we go
this
through trials and
narrative they're pushing
tribulations.
here.
It happens. So you would say the moment you gave the Rams your all, that was the game against Dallas at the Star, or at
Right.
Jerry Jones World. Sorry.
I never gave the Rams up like a lot of people I know when
Yeah,
they
tell
left.
me about this. So this has been a point of
Yeah,
contention
this,
for many people, right? I
yeah,
mean, we all throughout those dark years, like everyone gave up on the Rams. It was the greatest show on turf. Everybody was a Rams fan where
yeah.
I'm from. And then all of a sudden, just really bad years, horrible quarterbacks, and all of a sudden everyone's burning their jersey or saying, I was never a Rams fan.
Right.
And then we had the move from St. Louis to LA, and we lost what little we had there, too. Tell me about that. That's a point of frustration for you. Am I right?
That was tough for all of us, especially growing up in St. Louis. And I mean that's what we were. So if you're from St. Louis, you're a Rams fan, you're a Cardinals fan, and Blues fan. To the east you have Chicago, which we hate everything Chicago.
Amen.
Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks,
Blackhawks.
Bears, and then over in Kansas City to the west, the Royals, the Chiefs. I think that's all they have.
I
So
didn't feel a rivalry with the Kansas City, actually, for some reason. Did you feel that growing up?
I went to college out towards Kansas City. So
Okay.
half of my college was St. Louis, Chicago area, and then more than half was Kansas City. So all I got was these cocky Kansas City friends that were just, Jayhawks and Chiefs. And so look, we hate in St. Louis, we hated the Chiefs. Hated Kansas City, hated Chicago. We were Rams fans. And so when the Rams left, you had to make a decision. And it was tough for a lot of us.
Mm.
But look, I have a lot of friends right now that went from hating the Chiefs to wearing Patrick Mahomes jerseys. And it's
Mm.
disgusting.
You're saying they were St. Louis Rams fans, and now they've switched over to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It's like, look, I get it. You adopt a football team. Say you move to a city and you adopt a football team, but to actively cheer against somebody, and then all of a sudden now you're buying a Patrick Mahomes jersey, and in my opinion, it's a huge sellout and it's gross.
That's
Yeah.
well put. I don't understand how people let their heart. How does your heart change like that? My heart just can't change to a team. I can't just choose a team. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like what you said. When you watch the Cowboys and the Rams game, you said, "Hey, wherever my heart goes, that's where I'm leaning towards." And you let your heart decide.
Right.
Okay, that's the same for me. Like my heart has decided the Rams. I have not decided them. My heart did. And that's why I grew up a Rams fan. That's why when they
Right.
moved to LA, I said, people ask me, "Are you still going to be a Rams fan?" I said, "Why would I not be a Rams fan?" It's the same team, it's the same franchise. They moved from LA to St. Louis. Now they're moving back to LA. And let's be honest, from a marketing standpoint, it makes total sense to go from mid-market to a massive market. And
Right.
we talked about this last week is I attribute the move to LA to us getting McVay and half of the players that we've gotten. I mean, I don't think we get most of these guys like a Ramsey,
No.
Von Miller last year, Bobby Wagner this year. I don't think those kind of OBJ last year too. I don't think these guys come in without us moving to LA. Am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right. I don't blame the business decision. I mean, the only thing I don't like Los Angeles in general. I don't like California. I don't like how they also took the Chargers. They
Yeah.
don't need that. They don't deserve that.
Poor
I
San
get it.
Diego.
Right. What the heck? I still call them the San Diego Chargers, and I
Yeah.
still call the Raiders, though. I call them Oakland. They're playing
Yeah.
Oakland this weekend.
Come on, baby.
Okay, we're playing Vegas, But look,
Amen.
there's a lot of St. Louis people that should be ashamed of themselves. And look, I get it. You go to a Chiefs game and it's fun. You come down here to Arlington and go to a Cowboys game, it's fun. You could easily be swayed, so you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anybody in particular that you want to call out on this show?
oh, absolutely. I got guys. Spencer Stein in particular went to high school with them.
Okay.
Logan Meyer, Philip Bodenschatz, guys I grew up with. Um, Look, I've called them out for it. I've said it to their face. That's why I'll say it here on this podcast. But to actively, cheer against somebody and then they move and now they're all Patrick Mahomes fans and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it was good timing for the Mahomes fans. You know what I mean? It was that easy transition. Like,
right,
and when I say easy, I don't mean the right move, but it was the easy move for fans to go from Rams to Chiefs with, I
right.
think, one of the better quarterbacks in the league right now. Obviously, I mean, no one's contending that.
Here,
But that's
here,
an easy sellout move.
it's a sellout move. Here's also one thing that we have over the Chiefs. Mahomes didn't start the sidearm sling. Matt
Who did?
Stafford did.
Yeah, he did. In
Matt
Detroit.
Stafford's been doing that for Detroit for a long, long time. He just wasn't on primetime games because he's up in Detroit with the losing team.
With a terrible franchise. One of the worst. But they had Calvin Johnson. They made the playoffs a couple different years.
And they're up and coming too. And we could talk about them in a second. But Stafford had a throw in particular. I think it was like a third down. He was back scrambling, probably 10, 11 yards in the backfield, and planted his feet and threw a sidearm, just absolute bullet to Cooper Kupp, right on the sticks. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Was it this last game? You're saying a couple games
Yeah,
ago.
this last game.
Okay. No, did he miss him then? Was it the one he missed on?
No, he completed it. And
Okay.
I particularly saw that, and I wrote down Stafford's arm looks good.
Yeah, he's looking better. So in the
Yeah.
off season, they had some kind of procedure. The doctors did not let him throw for 11 weeks,
Right.
which I was like, why is this not more of a story? Like that's why he's coming in week 1 and then a little bit week 2, like
Yeah.
super rusty. Like, so that made sense to me. And his arm is trending in the right direction. He didn't have any, he didn't throw for any touchdowns this last game, but he threw for 250 yards, 18 for 25. I like that. I think that's fine. Anyways, I'm excited about Staff coming
Yeah.
from Detroit. We got him in LA. We're looking good. We won the Super Bowl last year. Tell these people how good you felt after the Super Bowl win. These years of turmoil, now we're champions.
Yeah, it felt good.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
No, look,
Felt good.
listen. So, what I would say, look, I think for me, I think I take losses harder than wins. Like, look, I
Yeah.
think the obviously the losses growing up. I think the loss in 2018, or I think it was beginning of 19 against the Patriots.
It was 18.
18, I was upset. I was really upset.
Oh,
And
that was a painful game.
you know, this game was great. No, it really was. I think it was a great matchup with the Bengals, and I think with Cooper Kupp at the end, yeah, going through all those years, I mean, 1999, that's maybe my earliest memories as a kid. And then,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
no, it
Kurt
was
Warner, greatest
great.
show on turf, getting a win. That was my
Right.
first. That was my first episode. Was Super Bowl to Super Bowl, and how it's kind of come full circle. And you know, it's just I don't know. As a fan, I kind of always say this. As a fan, you couldn't ask for anything more from this franchise to set us up for success, especially the last 6 or 7 years,
Yep.
where we moved to LA, and where people say, "Dude, you got a short window. Like you need to do it in the short window." Well, that window is just continually open, and we're still back at it again. So going forward, we come off a Super Bowl win, lose against the Bills. We have two relatively good wins, even though we're looking sloppy, we're looking better. What's your confidence going forward in this year? Are we playoff contenders? Are we Super Bowl contenders?
Hmm. I'm gonna backtrack real quick. Is that okay? Can I ask you a question real quick, Greg?
Absolutely. Please
Look,
do.
it was tough. It's tough cheering for the Rams and watching the Super Bowl when you're not around other fans and you're in a foreign city.
Yeah, didn't we try to watch the game together? What happened?
I don't know. I watched it with one buddy just sitting here at the house, and look, I was happy, but it's just so much different when you're not around a bunch of Rams fans. So let's get together
We're
for a game or so here, man.
Please, that's
Okay,
very simple. Now, granted, I work like crazy on Sunday, but actually we play Monday night.
let's do it. What's the
49ers Monday night. Let's plan on it.
wait? This
Um,
coming Monday?
I agree though with you that it is, I mean, I'm the only Rams fan in this area. There's no doubt. Like who else is a Rams fan?
Yeah, yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, I kind of keep to myself. I enjoy watching the games. Pretty simple. And but we're gonna change that, me and you. Now, granted, we're an hour away, but we're gonna make something happen.
We'll make that happen, man. I think it's a little closer than you think. All right, you want me to answer your question here?
So please, yeah, answer my question. Are we Super Bowl contenders? Are we playoff contenders? Where do we stand in your mindset? Are you confident in this team? Are you like, this team, we're not coming out the way that I feel like I was thinking we're gonna come out?
I'm extremely confident, but two things. Well, first, I think the NFC is really weak.
Agreed. Yeah, which is
Um,
that's another great. Our division used to be the best,
loaded, even like a year,
loaded.
2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and now
We
it's
had
all of a sudden it's like, yeah, it's rough.
NFC West is bad. Cardinals are down. Seahawks are down. Niners are, you just have no idea. I mean, look, the only team that scares me coming out of the NFC is Philadelphia and
Hmm.
the Buccaneers. Once they get, I mean, Mike Evans will be back, and then once Godwin's up and running, I think the Bucks are going to be.
Yeah,
They
with
look, they look pretty shut down. They look
with
good.
with Brady, you can't ever. I don't think we can ever count them out. And then Green Bay is always going to make their run. You know what I mean? They always look rough to start out
Right.
the season. They'll always be in it. Um, but yeah, the Eagles, again, 3-0, and they look really good. Hurts looks amazing, but I don't know if they can sustain that either. We'll see. I mean, I could be wrong. I just, we're pretty high on this team really early, but I can also see them kind of crumbling. We'll see. You never know. So, are you thinking playoff contenders for sure? Would you say
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Super Bowl contenders?
I can't say that yet.
Yeah, I think it's for me outside of just even our team. It's near impossible to repeat or go back. Back
Yeah, I
to
don't know.
back Super Bowls is hard. Repeating is almost never done. So, just on that standpoint alone, I don't, not to be a pessimist, I'm not down on my team, but I'm just realistic. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't see us at least. Look, I think the Eagles and the Bucks, and I think the Vikings are. I think the Vikings are end up having a decent season, but
Yeah.
I don't know. McVay's the a differentiator. I mean,
Okay,
I'm
why the
telling
Vikes? Tell me about the Vikes.
you. I like what they're doing defensively. Um, look,
They're
they're
always consistent defensively.
they're
Yeah.
right. Harrison Smith is a staple there. Look, I think it's just their offense that everyone knows about. The Jefferson, Thielen, Cook, Madsen, and Cousins throwing the ball. I think here's the thing. I think Vikings thorn in their side has always been Rodgers and Green Bay, And I do
Yeah.
not think without a number one wideout that Green Bay will be a contender.
Do you think Alan Lazard can be that number one?
No, absolutely not.
We'll see. He had a good last 4 games of the season last year.
He's not.
Like,
He
really
just
good.
doesn't have it to me.
You don't
He
think
doesn't
he's
have
got it?
the name. That's not a big receiver name.
Okay, there you go, folks. He does not have the name. He cannot be a number one.
Alan Lazard. That's just not a big
I
number
think
one
I
name,
think you can
man.
get behind that. Lazard, the lizard.
I guess the more you
I don't
say
know,
it.
man. I want another. Okay, before I get your hottest take ever, I want
Yeah.
the hottest of hot takes. But before that, I want your thoughts on Lamar Jackson.
Oh, MVP.
He's, yeah, I like that.
MVP. Look, he's. I think he's smarter than we realize, and even in terms of like, look, before the season, I was worried about his contract, and then I realized his mom is his agent.
No, it's not even his mom. I think he's his own agent.
I think his yeah. I think you might be right, but I think his mom is like really
Okay,
in conversations, and I'm like, what is going
that's
on?
a confidence booster.
Right, but then he turned down a huge sum of money. But then see how he's playing? He's
Dude.
hungry.
He is so. I love it because where most guys are going to sit out the season or going to complain, or their
Right.
play is going to end up decreasing because of it. This dude is. You don't hear from him. He plays the game. He's got a great attitude, super confident, phenomenal leader. I think Lamar Jackson. So when he came into the league, I was completely wrong. I thought this guy's not going to be good at all. He's just, I did. I thought he's just a runner, and runners cannot. They cannot. You can't sustain that type of play in the
Yeah.
NFL with these big dudes hitting you all the time. And granted, I mean, is he 4 years in, 5 years in? So he's still young,
Right.
but he's sustaining it, and he looks as good as he's ever, if not better. So I think Lamar's great, dude. Here's another guy, okay, before your hottest take ever. Tua Tagovailoa,
Yeah.
the Miami Dolphins. Are they
Big
real or
fan.
are they fake?
Look, I want to say real, and I think the only reason I want to say real is because they're fun. They're different.
They are.
It's exciting with, they got two freak shows running the ball or or catching the ball over there.
Yeah.
Look, hit them against who are they playing? They're playing Cincinnati this Thursday night.
Dolphins?
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to get waxed here, though.
You do.
Yes, I think they're hungover right now from the Bills.
Against Cincy.
Yeah, they're hungover
Okay.
right now. And I think Joe Burrow's pissed off. And I think they wax Miami.
Yeah,
Joe
Burrow is he's definitely looking rough right now. I mean, that whole team is looking rough, 1-2. But that's interesting. I'll remember that, and I'll text you about that, see if you're correct. I like Tua. I'm pretty high on Tua. I think he's just a great quarterback and great leader. So we'll see. And then obviously, like you said, they got Waddle, they got Hill, and then you got Edmonds that's kind of doing his role too, playing well. And then Raheem Mostert too, kind of a guy that people forget about. 49ers running back. I know he's a little older, but dude, I think he's pretty good. And their defense is stout. Okay, give me your hottest of hot takes right now, and this is going to end the show. You're going to be back on too, okay? So don't think
Just
this is the
one?
last hot take.
I don't know if this is a huge hot take. I'm not on the Josh Allen bandwagon. I just don't buy it right now.
I can attest to this because you texted me before the Rams game and went
that's
off on this
right.
team. You went off on this team.
I
Maybe the wrong move, but
no,
tell me about it. Tell me about it.
I'm just not. I think I'm just not sold to call him a savior. Look, I think. I don't know. I don't like it when people get such a big hype. I don't like there's a couple reasons. I don't like their fans. I think their fans are cocky, jumping off tables, and they think it's cute, and I just don't like it. And so that's all with Josh Allen and the Bills. But also, look, they're so quick to put him over a lot of quarterbacks that have won big-time playoff games and Super Bowls here. Look, you think of Stafford's career, and then Stafford coming in first year and win a Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen hasn't done that. Patrick Mahomes Josh Allen hasn't done anything compared to what Mahomes has done.
Yeah.
So I just don't buy into it. I
Yeah.
don't. I think he has a lot to prove, and also I think what pissed me off against the Rams is the lack of pride our defense didn't have when you had a QB running the ball on us, and not just scrambling. They were running powers, pulling guards, running Josh Allen up the middle, and no one tried to put a lick on him.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Put a shot on him.
Yep. Are you Super Bowl or bust kind of guy? Is that your take for a player in his career? Or
Oh, you gonna say that about Allen?
so I'm saying about Allen. So like, let's say Allen, like, are you looking at Allen and saying, dude, you haven't won a Super Bowl yet. I'm not, I'm not getting behind you. Or are you just saying, just
No,
watching his play, you're not as impressed as you want to be?
he's young. Look, I'm impressed by when I watch him play.
Thank
I
you.
just
Okay.
more I just kind of want to go against the grain with these guys. Look, when every talking head and every person you talk to, every fantasy person you're talking to in the league is just all over this guy. Look, I'm just gonna I go against that,
Yeah.
and I think
Even
he.
if you're wrong, even if you're wrong.
I don't think I'm wrong because he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. I don't think he can't get past Patrick Mahomes yet.
So your big thing is Mahomes, dude, you ain't done nothing yet. Mahomes is still number one. You don't
100%.
want, yeah, you don't want them changing Mahomes for
Look, I
Allen.
think I wouldn't. Mahomes and Brady are still there. I wouldn't look. I would throw Rodgers and Josh Allen together because look, Rodgers is one of those same guys that people tout Rodgers
Yeah,
as a messiah.
I kind of agree with you. Yeah.
And look, I would take a Ben Roethlisberger in his prime over Rodgers in his prime all day.
Okay. Okay. That's the
Hey,
hot take I've been waiting for, baby.
so look, there's just guys that they're great statistically, great regular season guys that I don't know, these talking heads just they anoint them, and I'm like, look, I don't see it. I don't. There's better quarterbacks out there.
Yeah, you want to be more impressed. Jalen Hurts then. Jalen Hurts,
Very impressed.
dude is making
He's
the
got a
most.
he's got a humble demeanor,
He
especially
does.
man. He got benched at Alabama, never said a word. Went to Oklahoma, was
Yep.
a Heisman candidate, dominate like
He,
he's so well spoken.
he is, and he's gotten a lot of flack his first couple years, but you never hear anything out of his mouth. You know, he just keeps going to work. He
Yep.
keeps his work ethic up. And now, you know, is it year 3, and he is just dominating. That team is just doing well. So, just a guy that you love to see succeed. Yeah,
Yep.
I love it. All right, brother, for the sake of time, this has
All
been
right.
so good.
Good
You
to
are
see you, man.
wonderful. It is so good to see you. I wish y'all could see this guy right now. He looks great. Got a
Thank you,
nice
man.
hat
You too.
on. Got your beard going. Looks great.
Yeah.
You're looking stout. I can tell you've been working out.
Thank
We're
you,
going to
man.
have to do this again. Please, let's do this again because I
Yeah.
love recapping games with you. I love talking because you get it. You watch the Rams. You get it. You're watching every game. You're staying up with the team. So let's make this happen again. So thanks for coming on. Appreciate it a ton. It's late at night too, so appreciate you staying up. We're gonna have to do this together sometime too. You're gonna have to drive in or something like that. We're gonna have to
Yeah, you're gonna have
instead
to
of
up
just
your
doing over
tech
video.
up there, man, and so we can get a little booth or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure something out. But dude, appreciate you a ton. Um, Stay tuned, everyone. Next week is I'm gonna recap. Who knows? Who knows what guests I'm gonna have? But I'm gonna recap the 49ers game. Hopefully, we come out with a W, be 3-1, which I believe we should be, and we'll get it going from there. So until then, Rams up and Rams out.